Welcome to the You Can Man podcast, episode 26. I'm Josh.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Dave.
And on this week's episode, get your garage together.
All right, guys, welcome back to the You Can Man podcast, where we believe what one man can do, you can do as well. Dave, you always go first.
So let's keep it going, right?
Let's keep it going. How was your week?
My week was good, as per usual. I had my first T-ball practice with my son, my oldest son.
Whoa.
Yeah, 4-year-old son. Signed him up for T-ball. Went out there. It was herding cattle. That's all it was. You're just keeping like little animals. Hey, don't swing the bat around the other child's head.
Cattle are large. But
Yeah. Well,
Did I give one of you guys
small cattle?
my leftover, or not leftover, the used T-ball practice?
No, Tim,
thing?
you didn't. Thanks a lot.
No.
Did you buy one? Because I have one.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk
gave
about.
it to Josh.
You
Did
tried to give it to me, but my father-in-law, like the day my first son was born, he bought a batting tee, and so we
Okay.
have one.
So sorry, Dave.
Well,
I have that.
So I recently purchased all of that. And I was thinking as I was doing it, when I played T-ball and baseball as a kid, I didn't even have my own bat. I didn't have a bat. I had a glove.
No bat, no helmet.
No helmet. I had a glove. Like my son,
Yes.
he's playing for the Royals. He looks like a Royal, right? He's got a navy blue belt. He's got a batting helmet. He has his own bat. He's decked out. And I mean, I wanted a bat when I was a kid, but I wasn't getting a bat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm not calling my parents out at all. It's just different now.
It's different.
Like, so
life is good in 2019, everybody.
we went to our first practice and I was like, he'll be fine without a bat. Every kid, he's the only kid there without a bat. I was like, well, all right.
That's incredible.
Got to make this happen. So anyway, we're all set.
Yeah, so we did the whole shopping spree to go research equipment at the local sporting goods store so that we could then buy it online with discounts. Well,
The sporting goods store loves you for that.
yeah, sadly, if you remember last week, my son broke his leg.
He's laid up.
So we didn't have to buy all that stuff this season. But next season, I guess we're going to be biting the bullet. But it sounds like me and Dave here might be coaching together.
It's my dream. I want to coach a little league team to the World Series.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
is
It's a lofty goal.
Now,
Look,
if you do our local East Marietta baseball, they were
1983 or something like that.
Yeah, something way back when. National League.
I'll say that the
This
glory
guy's our
day.
age.
Not
we-
national.
So that's where
What
that's,
is that called? What is it?
Little League
glory
World
days?
Series.
Little League World Series. Sorry.
Well, the glory days have faded a little bit, I will say, because we're playing there. And look, it's great. It's a first start, but
It's 4-year-olds.
Yeah, we'll see how it
Can't-
goes.
Can't expect too much.
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a big deal. First foray into organized sports.
Yes.
I will look forward to it in the spring, I guess.
we'll welcome you with open arms.
Sweet. All right. So I wanted to talk about this tweet that I saw from Elon Musk and the who is Mr. Tesla.
Yep.
And this tweet had basically a silhouette of, and I don't know if Tesla tweeted it or Elon Musk tweeted it, but the tweet just had a silhouette of what looks like a hood,
Ooh.
an angular hood.
Hold that
With-
up. Hold that iPad up.
With the Tesla symbol on it. But
Wow.
you can't really see anything else. It's just this really sleek silhouette.
It's very
angular,
intriguing.
A thin light bar looking across the hood. So if this is the hood, it could be the back. But this tweet is supposed to be the pickup truck that they say they are announcing this year. Their fully electric pickup truck. And what's crazy is Elon Musk himself says this thing is going to start at under $50,000
Nice.
and
Really?
will compete directly with the full-size pickup trucks. He says it's got to be less than 50,000. It's got to be like 49,000 starting price, ideally less. It cannot be unaffordable. There will be versions of the truck that would be more expensive, but you've got to be able to get a really great truck for 49,000 or less.
Is that like the solar roof shingles that we see everywhere now?
Right?
You know what I
Tim,
mean?
I detect some sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can get ahead of himself, but aside from all the government intervention in his company, they seem to be rolling out some pretty cool technology.
Their technology is amazing. Their cars are really cool. But my problem with Teslas is they remind me of naval-less people. Like they're just really like the front. It's artificial looking to me. You know
How
what
does
I
your
mean?
mind work, Dave? That's
It's
just
like
weird.
You remember the Matrix where they like grew people and they had the thing coming out of the back of their neck? That's what Teslas remind me of. It's like they just look.
They have that futuristic, robotic, cloned feel.
Yeah. And I don't dig that, but I do dig like the insane mode and all that kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, he said that the looks of this
ludicrous mode.
Yeah, he said the looks of this truck will fit right in on the set of Blade Runner. So it's supposed to be really, really, really futuristic. It also with the electric motors, they say the truck should be able to get between 400 and 500 miles.
Wow.
Out of a single charge. Again, the power of the electric motor. Musk once tweeted that this thing should be able to tow about 300,000 pounds.
Yeah, you got all that low end torque with the electric motor.
Yeah, that's for smart people, but that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that sounds like a fair amount. The problem for me would be the asking price is still high, right?
At 50?
50K? That's
compared to Sierra,
No,
to
compared
GMC
to-
Sierra.
What are you guys talking about?
way under
all right,
Sierra.
last podcast you guys were singing your own praises driving these $2,500
I'm
cars.
saying-
No, I'm just saying
the
a
big picture.
brand new F-150s. I mean,
That's
a
nice.
What was it?
Yeah.
Was it the F-250 this year that you could spec one out for over $100,000?
Yeah. A normal F-250.
That's a good point.
Running
That's a
at
good point.
85. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to buy one, but I'm saying in the big picture in the market, you can't get in a GMC Sierra brand new for under 50.
Yeah.
So anyway, should be interesting. It's something to watch.
I want to see it.
Would be interesting.
Hopefully, it doesn't remind me of a navalist truck driver.
All right. Well, we'll have to watch that. I watched an interview with him talking about future semi trucks, all electric,
Yep.
and how they might be able to travel kind of in more of a convoy or like train.
Are these the autonomous, like the self-driving ones?
Yeah. Now that would be pretty
No,
cool.
I think that's definitely coming. I think we'll see that in our lifetime.
His interview, I heard him do a podcast. It was the most interesting thing I've ever heard. He's a fascinating person.
Yeah, our friend Joe Rogan had him on his podcast.
Our peer, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, our equal in the podcast world.
It was if you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. Very interesting.
Yeah, Elon Musk on Joe Rogan, very good. And I know we talk about these self-driving cars, and everybody's like, oh, it's going to be like the Minority Report. We're all going to be in these automated cars and these pods and all. I don't think in my lifetime I'm going to see that.
Probably
level,
not.
I do think we're going to see those convoys where the cars are actually talking to each other, because right now they're sensing each other. You can take your hands off the wheel and it can cruise down the highway at 80 miles an hour and keep its own distance. So when they start talking to each other, I think that's going to help reduce traffic too. But that's for another topic. That's for another show.
Yep.
All right, let's get into it.
All right. So topic at hand today is garage organization. Okay. And we're trying to say, get your garage together. So you may have a mess of a garage.
Guilty.
Like Dave and Josh here.
Okay. All right. Let's back it up.
I'm worse. I can say that.
Now, Dave, before the show, we were talking over what we're going to talk about. And he seems to think that my garage is very organized.
It is.
So if you'll remember, several episodes back, I talked about how I dented my Bronco, backing it out because there's so much crap in the way. Yeah. So look, maybe you've seen it on a good day, Dave, but my garage
at least
some
one
help.
side of your garage is like really presentable. Like you have lockers and cabinets and a workbench and a nice husky tool chest.
Listen,
that looks really pro.
Right. Most people's garages, you have to shimmy, like you have to turn your hips to like squeeze by
things. You don't
things.
have to talk about my garage on the podcast.
Josh's garage, for those who haven't seen it, is the worst. Okay. It's literally packed full. You look like a hoarder.
It's a storage unit.
Okay. So the key, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The key to having a garage that's usable to park cars in and to put a few things in is having a shed out in the backyard. You've got to have a shed, in my opinion,
or a basement.
Because I've had a house before and I packed everything into the garage. Couldn't get cars in there. My workbench was in there. Yard tools were hanging on the walls, and you couldn't get cars in there. But now I have a shed. Everything goes in the shed. Cars go in the garage. It's great.
Yeah, I'm super weird about this too, that the garage has to be used for an actual car. Okay. if your garage is in such a shape, Josh, where you cannot get a car into the garage, you have problems.
It's an absolute, for me,
Does
it was
a riding
a
lawnmower count as a car?
Yes, in Georgia, yes. It was a life changer for me parking in the garage because, look, we live in Georgia. It gets hot here, but it also gets cold, okay? 32 degrees is freezing no matter where you go, right? So it gets cold in Georgia. And not having to go out into the driveway and warm up the car and scrape the windshield and have your hands freeze off for 45 minutes.
Well,
it's a game changer. It's really
nice.
It's really, really nice.
Nothing ages a car more than really being outside.
That's why I have to buy an 03 Lexus.
Yeah.
Is because it's the only car that'll survive in those elements.
That's where it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, that's where it's comfortable. Yeah.
Well, if you have never tasted garage life, then I would recommend I don't know, just trying it out.
Yeah, I think there's a shed in my future. So let's start there.
Now, if you get a shed and you do not park at least one of your vehicles,
at least one car,
in that garage,
that's
we're going to shame you.
That's my goal. One car at least.
Or is that why people have 3-car garages?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
One for their boat.
Yeah.
Or your trailer.
So, yeah, if we can start at, if you have a mess in your garage, what are we doing with that mess?
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a pro tip here. I think everybody deals with this problem, and you got to deal with the bikes first. Maybe not first, but a very cheap way to get those bikes out of your way. If you go to Home Depot, you can buy, they're like plastic dipped hooks with their rubber on the outside of the hook.
Harbor Freight.
All right, go to Harbor Freight, whatever. Okay, these things are $1 or less, $2 maybe, and you screw them into a wall stud or you can use the ceiling. You can hang the bike by the wheel. Okay. Everybody that's coming from a former bike shop employee, It's not going to hurt it. You can hang it by the wheel. That's what the pros do. It's the way to go. Gets the bikes off of the floor and out of the way. You're not going to run over your bike anymore or bump into it. So you got to get those bikes off the floor, hanging up on the wall or on the ceiling.
Yeah, I would say the number one. Yeah, I mean, that goes along with that. But you have to get stuff up off the floor.
Yep.
Because that is what's going to give you the appearance of a clean garage.
It encroaches on your square footage.
Yeah, getting stuff off the floor, having some free space to actually do work in your garage too. So, and just have room to walk around. Like that's the most annoying thing, to have bikes and all kinds of stuff in the way. And it just makes you feel horrible, like you can't get anything done, and you certainly can't park the car in there when you got all this stuff on the floor. So getting stuff up off the floor is step one for sure.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part for me, is I feel like I can't do projects because I have to dig out all of my tools, especially the big one, the miter saw on the stand and the table saw. Like they're just buried, and I got to go.
It becomes a serious hindrance to you doing things yourself.
Every respectable man needs a workbench, in my humble opinion. Okay, that's where you go to work on your projects. Okay,
no matter how small that workbench may be.
Yeah, it can be small. It does not need to be. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It should be. Okay, but it doesn't have to be. You need a work surface. Okay, you need to saw something. Head out to the workbench. You got to put together your kid's bike or whatever. Head out to the workbench. Everybody needs a workbench. Josh, we're going to put one together for you.
I have workbench.
Yeah, he does have a workbench.
It's buried.
And you don't have a workbench.
That's my problem, though. I do have a workbench, but 90% of the time, it's like, open space. And I just put crap there.
Let me back up and say that I am not perfect. My garage is messy, even though I got 2 cars in there. It's pretty messy, and my workbench is just covered in stuff that's not being worked on right now. So I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be a better man. So, Tim, I have a question for you. Are you a tools in the, what am I trying to think of?
Tool chest?
Yeah, like a tool, but I don't have a tool chest. But are you a tools in the tool chest kind of guy, or hanging on the wall?
Oh, no. I do not like hanging on the wall. I don't know what it is about that, but to me, it just looks cluttered.
It does look cluttered, but there's something just... I see the draw. It speaks to my soul, like if it's well laid out and if it looks good,
that matters.
Up on the wall.
I think I've always thought about that, and I've always thought that I don't think that I would be able to hang them in such a way that it would be aesthetically pleasing enough to look right. You know, I got Harbor Freight stuff, and it's all different kind of like colors.
Yeah, you don't want to
stuff.
be showing that off.
You know, you don't. That's not something you showcase.
Well,
really.
if you go to like a really nice car, if you go to like a Porsche dealership, everything is in drawers, right? Everything's all hidden away,
Yep.
and
It's like the airline.
it's pretty clean.
Too.
Yeah. So that might be the way to go, but
No,
those
I
tool
got-
chests are expensive, right? Maybe
You know,
not. Maybe not Harbor Freight ones.
well,
He got
honestly,
a nice one. He went to Home Depot.
look, honestly, okay, I did get mine from Home Depot. I got a Husky one, but Harbor Freight has some high quality tool chests.
do.
They honestly do, and you can get them in different colors now besides red.
Yeah.
They finally started doing that, but there's been reviews done.
There's tons of YouTube reviews where guys are putting these things up against like what are the Mac tools or whatever, like
Yeah.
these super high end and like a lot, and they're not super cheap from Harbor Freight. They have a different price point than most of their stuff, but apparently the quality's right there.
I might have to stoop down and go against a personal creed that I made to myself and go into a
Check
Harbor
out
Freight.
those reviews online. They're very interesting.
And honestly, look, these name brand ones and the Harbor Freight
Probably
stuff,
coming from the same-
I get yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you trace it back, it's probably just like a different account from the same factory.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So we talked about getting stuff off the floor. We've talked about some tool organization. You've got to have some sort of tool chest if you don't, so that you can put things back.
Well, I'll say
So let's.
from a starting standpoint too, because I do want to speak to the guys that are just kind of getting started doing DIY stuff, and they're like, I'm not going to drop hundreds of dollars on a tool chest. I don't even have enough tools to put in a tool chest. For years, I had what I now call my mobile set, or my go set, right?
So it's like a toolbox.
Yeah,
Yep.
but it had pull out drawers. It was a Craftsman set. I still have it, and oftentimes I would leave it in my car. But that, you know, that's pretty much adequate for all of your wrenches and your ratchets and stuff like that. So you don't always need a massive tool chest, but you've got to have a place to put that. And having drawers where there's spots for everything is key.
Well, I did the same thing, and I got it from Home Depot. It was a Husky plastic. I still have it, toolbox, and everything. There were no drawers. I just dumped everything in there. I didn't have a ton of tools, but that worked out for years. And yeah, it was kind of like now it's a mobile command center, I guess. But at the time, that's all I had, but it worked.
Listen to Dave, command center.
Yeah, well.
Yeah,
That's
so
how I
those
roll.
those are good. The big one of my big problems right now is landscaping tools. So
Those are big.
Your point of getting them off the floor, I need to do that. I have like one little rack that could hold maybe 5 tools, but I own about 15 to 20 different implements, whether it's
Do you have the
like
Rubbermaid Fast Track?
no.
That's pretty cool. It's good. That's a nice little
Yeah, I'm
system.
looking for a system.
That's a
just
good
to
system.
Get all, not even when I get in my shed, I'm going to move my landscaping equipment out.
You know,
But
you can DIY that, Josh. Those the fast track kind of systems, you can make those yourself.
Really?
Yes.
That sounds like a lot of time.
Hey, you can, man.
But yeah, so when I get my landscaping out, that's literally going to free up a third of my garage because riding lawnmower, wheelbarrow, I have a landscape trailer.
You have all this in your garage?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, I have no room.
Yeah, what I would like to see happen with my garage when I get the shed, hopefully,
I'm going to have a shed off
when
later.
when I build the shed, is I would really like my garage to only, I do a lot of work on my cars, and so I would like my garage to only be automotive stuff if
be nice.
possible.
That's a nice dream.
Anything having to do with the yard or woodworking will go in a separate area, the shed.
Yep. And I love that as long as there's power to that shed, because all your power tools going out to the shed, they're kind of pointless if you pull them out. But if you're going to run power, hey,
That's true.
That's gold. You're going to run power.
So let's talk about, so you've at least got something where your tools go that is organized, whether that be that mobile kind of set that I talked about with a much smaller footprint than this massive tool chest, but keeping those things organized. So we have to talk about when you take a tool out, it goes back when you're done.
All right,
with it.
Dad. Jeez.
All right. So that's got to be like
Super
number
guilty on
one
that.
rule. I mean,
It is the number one rule. I'm normally bad about doing stuff like that, but with my tools, I had to break myself down and build myself back up to do that. And now I do it, 99% of the time. You got to take them back because those things, they run away, they disappear, and then you go back to look for it and it's gone. And that's the worst.
Yep, that's how I've broken myself is I'd say in the past 6 months, I am just forcing myself to march back with every tool and put it back because I've lost tools. Like there are lost tools that I'm going to find in that garage that I've rebought probably, just all on account of being lazy.
Well, now I have a 4-year-old son and he'll go get like some pliers.
Go ahead and preemptively get him his own set. I did that for Luke.
I need to do that. I keep thinking that, but I just haven't done it. And stuff will disappear. And I remember doing that with my dad, and I just leave like a hammer in the yard, and then you find it 3 months later, and it's totally rusted. And that literally happened to me, and it just it burns me up.
From day one, when he started going out there, I'm like, you take anything from him. And it goes back. It's just over and over and over drilling that into his head. I'm like, look, I want you to use these tools.
Yeah.
I want you to do this, but you have to return these.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel super bad because my dad is engineer, highly organized, and his philosophy, he puts everything back when he's done, but when he had 5 sons,
you can't get away.
He kind of just said, "It is what it is." Like I hope it all finds its way back.
It's good that he was able to get over that hurdle because there's no getting around that with 5 boys.
Yeah, and he always kept himself in check. That was never like a big thing.
All right,
but he was probably at least happy that hey, we were all working on our cars in the driveway instead of like.
I need to get better because my dad was cool with me. He'd be like, "Hey, what's up with the hammer? In the grass, it's not okay." But he, wouldn't. It wasn't bad, right? Yeah. So you got to take it easy.
But if he had hit you with the hammer,
if he had hit me with the rusty hammer, that's true.
Fixed your problem.
It might have. I had a friend who, if you didn't put a tool back in the tool chest in the correct drawer in the proper orientation, then it was on. Like it was over for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
It was intense.
Okay, so we're talking about putting stuff back outside of tools, and again, garage focus, shelving. I think that's something that you've got a cool shelving system.
Yeah, I have a blog post that I'll repost in our show notes, but I do have so 2 things. I've got garage cabinets, and I went ahead and got some nice steel ones. Now you don't have to do that before.
Is that the locker?
I was going to get to that too.
Sorry,
but I have the cabinets above my workbench.
Yes,
tons of stuff in there. I built some shelving units out of plywood. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look the best, but it holds.
It keeps the dust off.
Yeah, it holds. Well, I'd never put doors on that.
Oh, I thought you put sliding doors on them.
No, I was going to and just never got around to it. But it's a kind of like a large format cabinet, so I can fit like bigger items up in there. But what I'm most proud of is the lockers. And I always tell people, look, get you some lockers.
You told me. And I didn't do it.
Yeah, you should. So look on Craigslist or I guess Facebook Marketplace now. And there's always, there's schools that are closing or something and they're selling off all the lockers. To me, there's most, old school lockers are really heavy duty steel. They're lockable and they're just great storage units that you can sometimes get for cheap. So I got a set that I think came out of a golf pro shop or something like that. And so they're like 18-inch lockers instead of 12-inch because the standard size is 12-inch.
Oh, nice.
And I've got 3 rows, but they're top and bottom. Anyways, and then I put shelving within that. And I store so much stuff in there. And then eventually what I'll do is the lower 3 lockers will be for each of my 3 kids. So all of their stuff that they're bringing in from school or sports or anything like that. So Luke already has his.
It's good.
But the girls don't have enough stuff to utilize it.
I'm jealous because I'm thinking of all the stuff I could pack in there.
Yeah, so I was able to actually really maximize. So like all of my, let's say, I do my own oil changes. You guys know that. So I always keep oil. I've got a locker that's pretty much just motor oil.
Okay.
And then it also allows me to stock stuff like brake parts cleaner. If you guys ever need that, I've usually got that on hand.
Go into the locker and get it.
Yeah, it's like it's like walking into the store.
mini auto parts.
Whenever I'm at Walmart, I pick up a couple cans of the brake parts cleaner because I know that I'm going to use it
why
eventually.
go to Walmart?
That
every
is
time?
nice to have your own stock and just know that it's there.
I got the transmission fluid there because the Bronco leaks like crazy, and I'm always having to top it off. And anyways, so I keep all of that stuff in the lockers, and I would encourage you to look for lockers.
So yeah, while my garage again is a disaster, I do have 3 or 4 really deep, heavy duty steel. One of them might be Husky because there's cheap versions and expensive versions.
Yeah, those are nice.
But sometimes they go on really big sale, like around Christmas, especially from the big box stores. You can get these really heavy duty. I mean, they can literally hold like 1,000 pounds per shelf or something like that. I mean, just massive. And they can be, you can get them like 4 feet wide or 7 feet wide.
I always want to get one.
I've got
Those
a
are
few of
nice.
those, and that helps with just big things like camping gear. Like there's almost an entire side with camping gear on it. I even put all of my, and Tim, I know you have a different system, but I have a bunch of Rubbermaid containers that contain like all of my boxes of screws, like real specific screws, nails, Rubbermaid containers of caulks and adhesives, and just
did you get the
specialty
same?
stools.
Did you get the same
Yes, they're all
looking?
they're all the same. They stack and things.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
I was going to say that because that's what's going to make your garage look really neat.
Yeah, I'm not worried about looking right now.
If
But
you
yes, that is.
if you
a good
have
idea.
all okay, so do the Rubbermaid things. That's great. That's a great solution. Just wait till they go on sale. Get you a bunch of them.
Yep.
Get you more than
right
you
after
need.
Christmas.
Yeah, get you more than you need, and then all of yours match.
Yeah, and that's again goes back.
It's
to
going to
the
make
whole,
it so much more cleaner looking.
Let's get it off the floor. Let's put it up off the floor. Start stacking things against walls so that you optimize that square footage in the middle.
Josh, while we're bashing you for your terrible garage, I will sing one praise of yours that I'm kind of jealous of. I'm always struggling with the lighting in my garage, and I just need to put up new lights. But you put in a light right outside or right inside, I guess, the garage door from the house.
Yeah.
That's wired to the door, so that when the door opens, the light comes on. Right?
Yeah, so I have a lighting plan, and it's all pre-wired already. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I'm going in with LED shop lighting, and I don't know how many I'm going to do, but it's going to be super bright. And I'm going to repaint. It's like avocado green right now, all on the inside, and it's going to go back with a brighter color. But yes, I did install my first light that's not the garage door opener light. And it's like a 2-foot LED shop light mounted high on the wall, and it's attached to a motion sensor. And so when I step into the garage from our foyer, when I open the garage door, it kicks that light on. So
I've got to do that.
there, it just delivers light and it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's really
and
nice.
then it's on a timer. It shuts itself off after like 5 minutes if it doesn't sense any movement.
I got to do it. You need to come over and
That's
help
the
me.
one nice thing about my garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we would be remiss if we didn't talk about hanging stuff from the ceiling as well. So there's all kinds of systems.
Dave mentioned the bikes.
Yeah, and then you've got those like rack systems that are actually suspended from the garage ceiling. Now you do have some considerations there because a lot of times your garage ceiling may really only be designed to hold up the drywall and not a whole lot else. So you really got to look into the structure of your ceiling of your garage before you start hanging a bunch of stuff from it. So there's that, but that's definitely an option of putting stuff, especially if you've got really high ceilings in your garage.
Yeah,
because
that's
don't think in
wasted
terms.
space.
Yeah, think of more in terms of cubic feet, not just square feet of floor space. And then you can get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what Tim's
up
talking
off the
about is
floor.
kind of like elevated platforms that hang from the ceiling. So instead of a giant shelf going up from the ground, it's a big square, like a 4x4 square that is dropped down from the ceiling that you can kind of like use as an attic type thing.
Yeah, but just think things through because I was talking to the guys before we started recording and was talking about how I really thought through the plan of where I was going to put stuff because I never plan on moving. And so I was thinking this is going to be the garage that I'm going to have for the rest of my life.
Hey, you're not changing it, right?
I'm not really going to change the major footprint of where I have the workbench tool chest and my lockers. And so I really thought a lot through that. So don't just start adding stuff on because you're just going to get frustrated. Really take the time to think through all the things that you need to store and future-proof that as well.
Yeah, and if you have kids, I mean, that's one I'm considering with little kids coming along that are going to be playing sports or getting their bikes in and out or their toys in and out of the garage, like where to put those things so that they're not in the way of the door and they're not interfering with your car and like banging up your car. And if you're limited by square footage, you just do what you have to do. But those are also considerations, just kind of workflow of where people are going to be moving
right
the most often.
All this goes back to we want to we want to eliminate hindrances to you doing stuff yourself. If you got a messy garage and everything's everywhere, you're not going to want to take on projects yourself. So you need to get organized. So this is a reminder to get your butt in gear, get organized so that you can actually start doing things yourself. You can, man.
And get creative. I recently, my parents had some, I don't know exactly where they came from, but they're I feel like you'd see them on a bus or on a train, and they're old, they're iron, and they're these luggage racks that would go up above where the seats are. And so I screwed those things into the wall. They look cool, and I can just throw a bunch of stuff up there.
Nice.
So yeah, get creative. You know, you can experiment with different things, but the key is getting things off the floor, up onto the wall, but not overdoing it in the garage.
All right. Thanks for this intervention, guys.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a little shorter episode this week, but I've got just a riveting segment, guys.
I cannot wait.
I'm keeping on my plant theme. So
sweet. I love plants.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. All right. We'll be back right after the break.
This episode is sponsored by 1776 United. 1776 United is a patriotic and historically inspired lifestyle brand. They make the best patriotic shirts and apparel on the market today. I personally own many of their products, and if you want to don patriotic gear without looking gaudy, check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and at 1776united.com. All right, welcome back. So this week's segment belongs to Tim, and he has told us that there is some riveting plant talk ahead.
All right, guys, you ready for this?
Yes.
Title: The Demise of the American Chestnut Tree.
Oh, no.
Man, I go to sleep every night thinking about this. I'm glad we're going to cover it.
So first question is, do any of you guys know that there was any demise of the American chestnut tree?
No.
You have told me in the past.
Okay, so you can't answer.
Is Tim passionate? Is he passionate about this?
He's just mentioned it before that there's this huge demise of this tree. I don't think there was a hashtag movement for it or anything, but
so
I'm interested. I don't really know anything.
You don't know anything about it?
I don't know anything about it.
Wow. And that's sad. It really is, guys.
Is it like the bees, how the bees are going away? The trees gone?
No. I mean, there's still chestnut trees. Obviously, we have those here.
They're just endangered.
We don't have American chestnut trees. Okay?
It feels so empty.
And do any of you guys know? I mean, obviously you don't because
clearly. Tim, please educate us.
All right, I'm going to get to what happened to them, but first I want to paint a picture of the majestic American chestnut tree. Okay,
it sounds nice.
It was.
I have a picture in my mind, and it's beautiful.
And maybe it will be again. I'll get to that too.
What
did you plant? Never mind.
Okay, nearly a century ago, there was estimated nearly 4 billion American chestnut trees.
That feels like too many.
Wait, like 100 years ago?
100 years ago.
Whoa.
Well, more than 100 years ago. Nearly 4 billion American chestnut trees were growing in the eastern United States. It had a wide range from Maine, parts of southern Ontario, all the way down to Mississippi. It was from the Atlantic coast all the way through the Appalachian Mountains and into the Ohio Valley. So we're talking pretty much the entire
eastern seaboard.
Pretty much the entire eastern seaboard was its habitat.
Okay. Well, Tim, what happened?
I'm going to get there, Dave.
Man,
but
I'm just kind of worried.
At one point in time, it was one of the most common trees in especially the northeastern United States. Very prominent in forests. And they were huge trees that grew very quickly. So they grew a lot quicker than oaks and other trees that were really good for furniture. And I'll get to that too. But they were highly prized because they grew really fast. And when they grew in the forest, they grew straight, right? So they were known for their straight grain, just excellent building materials. So they would get, historically, they would reach up to about 98 feet tall. Whoa. So that's pretty tall.
It's the redwood of the East.
Yeah. I mean, there's trees now that are in our area that are higher than that, or I guess can get higher than that.
Okay.
But just in general, it would normally get that high. So it was a very dominant species that you would definitely have noticed for sure. And huge trunks, right? So it would get almost 10 feet in diameter.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures. These things are gigantic.
Yeah, and I'll definitely post pictures on our show notes. And at times it was thought that some of these trees could have grown as high as about 130 feet. So
wow.
that's
it ever our national tree?
No, but it was almost so. I was reading something that kind of they used the term. It was a heritage tree, meaning it was such an integral part of American culture, and because we started on the
East
East
Coast. Like a southern
Coast.
pine down here.
Yeah, it's something like that. If it was left untouched, these things could apparently live 400 to 600 years.
Jeez.
Okay, so it gives you an idea of how old and big these trees, majestic these trees were, and they were once a really, really important economic resource to North America. So both for the chestnuts that it actually produced, and of course for the wood for furniture and building. It was a very highly rot resistant wood, so it was highly prized. In colonial America, they used the timber, especially on the lower timbers, like the foundation timbers of the cabins, because of its rot resistance.
Sounds like a great tree.
It was.
Man.
And it was described as a cradle to grave tree.
Whoa.
So it just kind of encompassed all of life that the Americans at the
build
time.
your crib out of it and your coffin.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Nice. It was an excellent source of food for wildlife. I'm going to do a future episode or segment on the passenger pigeon.
Okay.
But apparently they ate a lot of chestnuts.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, you can't wait for that. They're extinct, sadly. Farmers would even send their hogs and their cattle into the forest to feed on and fatten them up for the market on chestnuts.
Wild.
It was that abundant of a So isn't it crazy that you guys have not heard of this, but it was such a part of American life?
Feels like a travesty.
There were billions.
Yeah, 4 billion.
I'm questioning that number. That just doesn't feel possible. 4 billion?
It's more than kudzu.
Well, when you think of the
trees,
when you think of the geography of where it covered,
there's a lot of forest.
It makes sense. Yeah. So and apparently the blooms were incredible. It said that
bloomed.
Yeah. It had crazy blooms, these white blooms.
Tree.
It bloomed in early June. And so it said, or it started to bloom in early June, I think. It said that the mountains looked like they were white with snow on the 4th of July.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Now, not everywhere, obviously. Wherever the tree was most
seasonal.
Yeah, it was mostly in the mountainous areas and stuff. And so there would be, maybe an entire mountainside that would be mostly predominantly American chestnut trees. And that's how these people described it, as being like white with snow in the middle of the summer when these things were blooming. In comes.
I don't even want to know.
The chestnut blight. It was brought on, a disease caused by Asiatic chestnut trees, and it was the Asian bark fungus.
When did this get introduced?
1904. Asian chestnut tree. So when you see chestnut trees now, chances are probably pretty good that they're the Asian variety.
It just ravaged the tree?
Was this a fungus? What was it?
Yeah, Asian bark fungus.
Okay. And how did it get over here?
Well, Asian They were brought over. They
brought Asian chestnuts over, which gave our chestnuts a fungus.
Exactly.
Look, it's Tim's segment. Okay, so
I got to break it down on your level, though.
Okay, so it's estimated that between 3 and 4 billion American chestnut trees were destroyed in the first half of the 20th century by this chestnut blight.
dang.
What?
After its initial discovery was in 1904. And pretty much all of them were pretty much gone by the 1950s.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you think about how predominant they were, how much of an economic resource they were, how much wildlife depended upon them, how much they were just in the folklore of just the American forests, and how people would describe the blooms and how they would send their hogs into the forest.
One of our most prominent trees just disappeared.
And no one really knows about it now.
Wow.
So it's gone, but we're still kicking. This is making me think that we can live without the bees.
Was there a movement to try to combat this? Did they know it was coming?
Of course, and there still is today, and I'll get to that. And I don't have a direct quote on this. This is coming from a website that's very passionate about American chestnut trees, but they say the chestnut blight has been called the greatest ecological disaster to strike the world's forest in all of history.
Well, obviously, that is not overstated at all.
So, I don't know. I mean, that's what I was reading, actually, on several websites.
Okay.
I feel like. Now, maybe they got that all from the same source.
I think we can all agree it was really bad.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
I could use
for
an American chestnut.
Something that wipes out 4 billion big trees. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So they're totally gone.
Well, so the USDA actually considers it functionally extinct.
Wow.
Okay, so meaning it didn't actually affect the root system. This is fascinating. So the
mind's already blown.
The root systems are actually still there. Like, you could actually go into some forests now, and you would see American chestnut sprouts coming up, and now they can even get like 20 feet tall. And then the blight hits.
Oh, but then it's over.
And then they start dying.
So they're just cursed from.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll grow up and then it'll just succumb to the blight.
Wow.
Yeah.
The blight, man.
Okay. So there are actually still some actual full-grown, mature American chestnut trees still in existence. Mm-hmm. What happened is some Western settlers, they carried this tree in the, like a little sprout of the American chestnut tree with them when they traveled west.
A staple of where they came from.
And they planted it. So one of the largest stands is there's about 2,500 chestnut trees that are growing on about 60 acres in West Salem, Wisconsin. And it's apparently the world's largest remaining stand of these trees.
Gosh. I kind of want to go see it.
And it's what I was reading, these trees are the descendants of those planted by a guy named Martin Hicks. He's an early settler of the area, and he planted a few dozen of the trees in the late 1800s.
Okay.
And because it was planted outside of the natural range, they escaped the blight because they were outside of that kind of...
They were isolated in their own little pod.
Yeah, they were, exactly.
Okay.
However, sadly, in 1987, scientists found blight in the stand. No. So it's eventually going to be gone.
Okay. Can we not kill the blight?
Yeah. So
is there
how
no blight for the blight?
Engineered against this blight?
So there is a foundation, the American...
I need to know where to leave all of my assets when I die. Right. I'm actually getting fired up about this.
So there exists the American Chestnut Foundation, and they are seeking to restore the American chestnut to its former glory. So they're trying to create a variety through genetic means and breeding.
It's resistant to the blight.
It's resistant.
It's blightless.
But I thought all genetic modification was bad.
Josh.
That's what I heard on social media.
Take it easy.
I mean, we're going to have to burn them down if they're GMO, right?
Right. You can't eat them, that's for sure.
So there are people hard at work trying to actually combat this.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep a little bit easier tonight knowing that there are people.
I mean, there was tons I was reading about. I can't get into the scientific aspect of all of it. But
we know.
It's over our heads.
Yeah. they're trying to, somehow take genes or well, I don't know. Gene, is that the right thing to say?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Look,
we need a horticulturist.
I don't know what they're doing, but
Yeah.
they're trying to bring it back.
If there's
right?
a botanist out there that can explain this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this: the Asian chestnut introduce this blight?
Right.
Did other native trees just take the place of all these chestnuts, or like did the Asian chestnut just like blow through and take the space of all the?
I think it's the
American
latter. I think that more of the native species,
Just
more
filled in.
more oak, beech.
So like the Chinese chestnut or the Asian chestnut itself wasn't like invasive, it just passed along something.
that I don't
field.
know
Okay.
exactly. I don't know exactly. Yeah.
Well, I don't like the Asian chestnut as much anymore.
Well, there's also a European chestnut as well. So we do
Okay.
have a European chestnut version was brought over, and that's actually, I don't even think I've had chestnuts before, but if you buy them here or something to roast or something, they're likely going to be the European variety.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've never had, and obviously I've never had an American chestnut before, but apparently the American chestnut was highly prized over all the other varieties.
As far as
Cradle to grave, baby.
Yeah, as far as flavor. Yeah, it
Okay.
was supposed to be, just awesome. And
Wow. So
Anyways.
is there a website where they like have maps of all the remaining chestnuts that I could go see? Because I want to see one.
I didn't see this specifically on there's American Chestnut Foundation. It's acf.org, and I will put the
Okay.
link on the show notes. I'm sure they have a link to that.
Yeah,
or
what's crazy
something.
to me is like that stand in Wisconsin. They know blight's there. They can't even like treat it. Like they can't even spray something.
Yeah.
The tumors,
I mean,
oaks are just,
It's
they're,
said that scientists are working on trying to save the trees.
they're doomed.
Now that I think about it, on the Wikipedia page for American chestnut trees, there actually is at the bottom of the article a list of all the remaining actual trees.
Wow.
So we have an inventory.
There's some in New York. There's
That's
some,
where I'm going.
yeah. And actually, I think I was reading that there was even some near Warm Springs, Georgia.
Oh,
Kind of
okay.
near
Oh,
us.
close
So-
by, Josh, so you can swing down there.
Yeah, we would have
It's
had.
near where we camp, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have had chestnut trees around here.
Man. Okay. That was really good, Tim. Like, I mean, this sounds nerdy
tried.
and boring, but that was, I kind of feel
This is
sad
right
about,
up Josh's alley.
sad about this American staple that went by the wayside.
Yeah, after I did all my initial research, though, I was kind of doing a little bit more. And actually, I did run across an article. I don't know if it was an article, maybe a kind of research paper or something. I didn't look into it terribly, but apparently the numbers of what people were citing of it being so dominant, because when I had first read about this years ago, whatever I was reading made it sound like the forests were just flush with American chestnut trees. And I don't know that was the case, because they basically cited early settlers and how they would document what kind of trees and that sort of thing. And apparently they didn't notice American chestnut trees as much as these articles kind of purport that they would be prevalent.
Okay.
I don't know. I got to look into that more, but
Some exaggeration.
Needless to say, yeah, they were dominant. Now, whether or not there was like 25% of the forest, like some of the things I was reading says, I don't exactly know. But if you've got people that are saying, because I watched a YouTube video too, it's like 27 minutes long. I think I had previously watched it. Anyways, I will post a link to that. But they have recordings of actual eyewitness people. Say like they've got recordings from people in like the 70s or something, and they're really old at that time. So they would have seen the height of the.
So there are
American
people
chestnut trees.
walking the earth that have seen the magnificent
in
its glory days.
Your
though.
father.
Yeah.
Anybody born before 1950, definitely.
They would have seen the demise of it, though. So they would have seen where all these trees. Think about this. There's these massive trees that just rotted and fell over. So
Crazy.
you can see pictures of, because remember, it was rot resistant too. So a lot of these big shells of trunks are still kind of in existence.
I've got a tree I just called a tree service today, 2 of them, to come out and give me a quote to cut down this dead tree in my backyard that the limbs are falling. It is extremely tall. It's a really tall
Maybe
tree.
you've got a
Maybe I
rare
have
American
one.
chestnut tree. Probably not.
I don't think it's a chestnut. I feel like it's an oak tree, but I don't know. I'm going to ask the guy. I'm going to be like, is that an American chestnut?
Yeah, I could definitely look
Those
at it
are
and tell you.
stink, dummy.
I mean, I could definitely tell you if it's not an American chestnut tree.
I'm guessing it's not, but maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, that's about all I've got. I'll
Well
maybe
done,
I'll
Tim.
continue. You know, we've kind of got some themes going now.
Oh, please
right?
do. Bring the plants back.
You know, Josh has got the survivor stories. I've got the 80-year-old man plant stories. Anyways,
We know our target market.
maybe I'll keep going with that. Anyways, okay, that's going to wrap up this week's show. Guys, as always, please take time to subscribe to our show. And we really need some more reviews. So if you would take some time to leave us a very kind review, that would be awesome. Kind of puts us up a little bit higher in the rankings and gets more people listening to us. Take some time to look at our show notes on youcanman.com. Check out our Instagram page and our Facebook page. We'll catch you next time.